It is such a pleasure to have you, Sharon Teter, here with us today. How are you?
I'm doing great, and thank you. I'm very pleased to be here and excited about this.
Aw. Well, tell us where you're from first, and then tell us where you're at.
Yeah, exactly. I've been a lot of places. So I actually grew up in northern Michigan, and so beautiful summers and beautiful winters, lots to do, lots of adventure and activities, and ended up in Chicago for 17 years and Texas for I think roughly 17 or 18 years, and then Isla Mujeres now for almost two.
That's incredible, incredible. So tell us what your profession is. Well, first of all, tell us what you did before when you were in Texas, and then what you did when you moved to Isla Mujeres.
Absolutely. Yeah, I spent 35 years in the medical field and mostly a lot of clinical roles, but also some medical sales over the years as well. I grew up, my father's an amputee, and he worked in the orthotic and prosthetic profession and owned several shops in Michigan. So he started teaching me to make artificial legs and other things when I was like 7 years old. So
Oh, wow.
um, I learned at a very young age about the medical profession as well as work ethic.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, it
And
was
so
wonderful.
And so you've made a transition in the last year, 2 years?
Yeah, right about 2.5, 3 years. Yeah. So I met Paul and Mr. Scuba instructor in San Antonio. And I had really always wanted to scuba when I was a kid. I used to joke about, when your parents ask you what you want to do, and mine was usually a lawyer or a marine biologist. And I never did either. So it was kind of funny when I met Paul. He's like, you have you ever scuba? And I'm like, no, but I always loved to. So he taught me to scuba, and I taught him about motorcycles, and we just went from there. And so during COVID, when that hit, I wasn't in the hospitals as much, so I had a lot of time on my computer. So I loved scuba so much that I was like, I didn't say anything to Paul, but I started looking for dive shops for sale. And I'm like, I wonder how much a dive shop cost on some Caribbean island.
I love it.
It was, yeah, it was really kind of, who would have ever thought I'd end up here, but I looked in Belize and Panama, Honduras, Costa Rica, other places in Mexico. I had been to Isla Mujeres just for like day trips, maybe 4 times since the 80s. And so when I saw that shop, I thought, that's a beautiful little island. It's, right off Cancun, easy flights, nonstop back to the States. So anyways, I finally told Paul, I'm like, you want to buy a dive shop on an island in the Caribbean? And of course, his was, scuba instructor. He had been retired from catastrophic insurance adjuster for many years, and so was enjoying life in scuba. And he, of course, he was like, well, of course I do. So we flew down, took a look at the shop, and flew home and made it happen.
Wow. What was that process? That's crazy because you weren't citizens of Mexico, were you? Or are you resident?
No.
Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so it was pretty interesting. When we knew we were pretty serious about purchasing it, we reached out to a friend of ours who owns a dive place over on Cozumel, and she is from Austin. And so she introduced us to her lawyer and gave us some, information. So we actually hired a lawyer. So it all happened really, really fast. We came down here in July of 2020 to look at the shop, spent about 10 days, fell in love with it, rented an apartment. I think we flew home right around July 14th or 15th, something like that. Hired the lawyer, went through all the, you know, um, uh, what's the name of the organization that you go to get your
Like
passport?
immigration or
Yeah, the immigration office or consulate, the Mexican consulate in
okay, okay.
Austin. Yeah. So the lawyer helped us set all that up, and we were able to get our temporary green cards within a month. And we sold the house, motorcycles, trucks, cars, furniture, clothes, everything in less than a month and moved to Mexico.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
incredible. Like everything that you collected your whole life, and you're just like, here.
it really was. It was very liberating, actually, and it was a different feeling. Everything went so fast, and I always look at things like if things go and come together that quickly and smoothly, then that's God's plan. If things don't go right when you're trying to do something and everything just keeps blocking you, blocking you, blocking you, that's God's plan telling you that it's probably not the right thing to do.
Right.
Just a belief that I have anyways. So um, it literally, the house sold in 24 hours. So, I mean, it was really fast. And of course we had to bring the kitties too.
Well, did you know Spanish?
Nope, still don't.
I figured that you would now, but
Yeah, no time. There's literally no time. I mean, I can hold little tiny sentences, but yeah, pretty much no. We have been very blessed with the banks here, the Marine offices, the harbor master, the Navy. Everybody that we have to deal with has just been very, very kind and helpful to us, not knowing the language. So that's been super. That's been a huge blessing.
so tell us the name of your aquatic shop.
Absolutely. It's Aqua Adventures Eco Divers.
And now that's a shop. Did y'all change the name or you kept it the same?
Yeah, no, we kept it. We kept it. So the shop opened in 2004. It was the first PADI shop on the island. I don't know if you're familiar with PADI, PADI, but it's one of the certifying agencies for scuba divers.
Okay, so you have to be certified then to dive with y'all?
We do have what's called a Discover Scuba, and that's where somebody can try it one day. We do a short class, and then we do shallow water practice to make sure they're comfortable with the gear and can go below and under. We call that descending and ascending, and making sure they can equalize their ears. And then if all that goes well, we take them out on the boat, and we usually dive the first tank at the Musa Underwater Museum, which are statues that were put there to create a coral reef to
Oh,
encourage more coral growth and healthy ocean. So that's really cool to see. There's even a Volkswagen down there. Of course, it's not a real car. It's made out of safe concrete that's ocean safe and friendly. So lots of fun little things down there to see. And then we take them to a beautiful coral reef for the second tank. So they get to try it out. And if they love it, lots of times they end up going on to get certified.
now if it's not for them, you have snorkeling.
You bet. You bet. And we've gotten out there where every now and then somebody's just a little too afraid or sometimes has trouble with their ears, going 30 feet. And so if they just can't equalize or there's too much anxiety, we just go back to the top and they snorkel.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So tell us what your day normally looks like.
Wow. Um, I don't think Paul or I realized, it sounds so glamorous, right? To own a dive shop on a Caribbean island. And it is wonderful, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. But it is a lot more work than I ever anticipated. So, typically I wake up about 6 and I have coffee and I start answering emails and sometimes phone calls, things that came in during the night. And then our first dive boat, people start arriving around 7:30 or 7:45 in the morning. So we're usually in there definitely by 7:30. greeting people, getting their gear ready, signing waivers. That's the exciting part is these people are so excited. They're on vacation, and with COVID and being locked up for so long, and we from all over the world, people are just like, oh my God, I can't wait to dive. So that's a great feeling for all of us. We just are all so excited to be able to take them out. And so once they leave, then it's just emails and marketing and going to the bank and marine park permits and keeping up with the marine park bracelets that everybody has to wear in order to dive within our marine park here, which is the Mesoamerican Barrier Reef System, which is the second largest in the world.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So then from there, the boat comes back in typically around 12:30, 12:45. And of course, everybody's excited. And so that's lots of fun. And then we've got our whole new customers coming in for the afternoon dive. So we get everybody turned around. We get our awesome, amazing team all fed and watered, so to speak, hydrated. And we turn around and go back out for the afternoon boat. And that boat usually comes back around 5.
So does Paul go out on any of those dives?
He does go out. Lots of times we have 4 instructors currently and a dive master office manager. And so Paul is needed here and there. He mostly directs the education and the certifications. And of course keeps all our tank and our compressor and our air up and running properly and efficiently. Quality air is very important. Quality gear is very important. There's a lot of service to do on the regulators. As you can imagine, breathing underwater is very important. So
Yes.
Paul's, yeah. So Paul has the expertise to take care of all of that. He's an IDC staff instructor, and so he oversees all of our instructors, and our instructors actually are also our dive leaders on our dives, which we pride ourselves on for safety, but also really being able to help people. Even some divers that have 50 dives have trouble with buoyancy or air consumption. Some people just really, as we say, suck air because they breathe heavy. And yeah, or they're just excited, so they breathe heavier, and that shortens their dive time. So having instructors on board, we're able to actually help these people. And we've taken a lot of people that could only do like a 35-minute dive, and our instructors have been able to, on their second dive, take them to 60 minutes.
Oh,
Just by helping them with their air consumption. So imagine, being able to stay down 60 minutes instead of 35. So
incredible.
yeah, or like buoyancy. Buoyancy is so important. You want to keep yourself off the coral. We want to protect our coral reefs. So being able to control your buoyancy, not going down and banging into something, or not going up, because going up too fast can be dangerous as well. So our instructors are really able to help people with that as well.
So do you and Paul take some time off just to go dive on your own?
It's interesting. We don't get to dive together as often as we would like and as we used to. And I became an underwater photographer. So I'm not sure he likes diving with me all the time either, because of course I see creatures and little things, and I start going off somewhere and taking pictures, or I'm filming a turtle, or I'm filming a shark, or, that type of thing. And he's waiting for me.
Or a family of squid. I just saw
or
your
my family
recent post. Yeah.
aren't they cute?
It's so beautiful. Just
It
incredible.
is. And the underwater photography, I'm just so hooked on. It's just addictive. So, and there's so many things to see. I don't care how many times I go to a 30-foot reef, it's just amazing and beautiful. I see something new every time I go.
Please keep sharing, because I love seeing your underwater adventures. It's the
Thank
coolest,
you.
especially when
It
you
is
can't
amazing.
be there.
Yeah, exactly. We have a lot of followers that really aren't necessarily divers, but they just love, looking at what's under there and
Yeah.
that they don't get to see.
So what do you think is the most challenging for you with this?
It's probably been the long hours, typically 6 in the morning till 9 at night, answering emails and customers and whatnot. So the long hours and being tired and not being able to exercise and keep myself in as good a shape as I used to, is probably one huge challenge for me. The second challenge would just be not having the time or the energy to learn more Spanish, so it's a little bit easier with the harbor master and marine park permits and that type of thing. Learning to do
Yeah.
business in a foreign country is probably the largest challenge. It changes here every day. It's not as advanced as the United States. For instance, when I do my online banking, I have this little fob that, instead of putting in a code or a password, they give me a fob. And so when I'm signing in and there's like 3 steps, then you have to push the fob and enter a code. So
Oh,
it's just kind of archaic in some ways.
yeah.
Uh, yeah. And then, some days when you're signing legal documents, black ink is okay. And some days you have to have blue ink and
Oh
you got
my
to go back.
goodness.
Oh yeah. And you got to go back and do it all over again. So you just never know. One day you go to the bank and you can make a payment on something there. And one day you go to the bank, they're like, no, we're not doing that anymore. So you just never know. It's just, you just got to go with the flow. And that's been challenging to do that because everything in the States is pretty regimented and set.
Right.
And here nothing's necessarily set.
So what is it like living there?
It's amazing. As we talked about, unfortunately, customers will say to me, well, what's your favorite restaurant? I think Paul and I have had time to maybe go to 4 or 5. And
Oh my
there is a
goodness.
lot of restaurants on the island. So where I feel bad because we're kind of limited on our recommendations. But many of our team members have lived here for a long time. And so I just kind of defer to them. Um, but it's beautiful. We can take a different route to work and see the beautiful ocean on the east side. The waves are usually beautiful on that side of the island, and it's kind of nice to drive to work, taking a break during the day and going for a walk along the ocean um, is really amazing. Very different going from a house to an apartment, um, but that really has never bothered me. It's just different, you know. We've
But
made
you
a
also had mentioned that you do take time for yourselves.
Yes, we have started. The island is very expensive for real estate. And so we were kind of like, do we want to buy here, eventually, or what do we want to do? So one of our friends from San Antonio, actually, her daughter moved to a place called Palmul. It's Paamul. And she invited us down because she was going to be visiting her daughter. And we went down and we were sitting at the restaurant. And I looked over and I saw this beautiful palapa with a for sale sign. And I said, oh, there's places for sale here. And she's like, yeah, let's go for a walk. So we started walking around and I'm like, I could live here. I love this place. It's right on the ocean. It's got a restaurant, a swimming pool. There's only like 180 palapas there. Some of them are actually 3-story homes right on the ocean.
Oh,
So
really?
there's different levels. And so we started looking and I said, hey, Paul, do you like it here? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, we got to work this out. And
I
it's
love
an,
it. You're
I
a
know,
go-getter.
yeah, I see something I like. I'm like a dog with a bone. So our friend's daughter ended up selling us their second palapa. And so we've been working on that now once a month with the blessings of our team. They really like to see us get some rest, and they're an amazing team. We've been blessed with getting that put together, and we truly care about each other a great deal. So they like to see us get away every month and just rest, because they see how hard we work too.
Well, y'all are amazing people. So it just, you're attracting those people
Oh,
because that's who you are.
oh, that's so sweet of you to say. You know, it's our passion. Um, we truly, that's, I think, one of the things that makes me the happiest is seeing the smiling faces of the scuba divers.
What was a win? What was like what one of the biggest wins that you've had, that you were so happy about?
Um, you know, I truly think, you know, we bought in the middle of COVID, and the island had been closed for, I think it was about 5 months. Like nobody could come to the island. So these poor people over here, of course, you know, that's their income. This is a tourist island. So when we moved here, they were just opening up, like restaurants and everything. And again, it was still very limited capacity. We didn't know really when we would start being able to grow our business. Um, and I retired, you know, from healthcare. So IT and me don't really get along very well. So learning to do Facebook marketing or website marketing or YouTube or Instagram, I'm still bad at Instagram, but I'm learning. And I think the biggest win in my heart, I think, has been able to grow the business like we have. We have just boomed, and in the last almost 2 years, and many customers, you probably see them on Facebook, are always recommending us, and we are so blessed and so happy about that. So my biggest win, I just have to say, is our growth.
I am super excited for you. And actually, we're so excited that I've convinced my honey, because he's like, nope, we're not traveling overseas. We're not going anywhere, or, we're not going to Mexico. And so I was like, but Sharon. So
You
I think
bet.
we're going to come in June or July, but I'll have to connect with you. But
Awesome.
tell
We'll
us
have to
about.
we'll have to take you whale shark snorkeling.
Yes, that's what I want to do. Oh my gosh, I've dreamed of doing that my entire life. I've been to
Absolutely.
the aquarium in Georgia, and you can do that, and I've always wanted to do that, and yeah, never have done it. But then out in the wild, that's even more incredible.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing.
So tell us about, how would you describe the water?
You know, the water here is just this gorgeous, different shades of turquoise, and it's just crystal clear. There's sandy parts. Of course, we're part of the Mesoamerican Barrier Reef System, so tons of reefs and swim throughs and all that. And it gives the water just all these different shades of turquoise and blues, and it's just gorgeous. It's unlike a lot of areas
So
in Mexico.
can you see like a certain distance?
Our visibility, many times, like we have a couple wrecks that are about 80 feet. And when we get out and we're over the wreck in the boat, many times, most of the time, you can see the wreck.
Oh
So
wow.
our visibility can be up to 80 feet easy.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Yeah. And then
Ooh.
the reason we can snorkel like Musa, the underwater museum in Manchones, is it might be around 30 to 33 feet, but the statues and the coral reef, you know, are about 15 feet high. So it's beautiful for snorkeling and diving. And when you have a diver family that, you know, has a couple snorkelers and a couple divers, then the snorkelers can watch their family dive.
Oh, I love it. So
So that's
what
really cool.
do you find most rewarding about your path?
About my path.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. Um, wow. I being able to live on a Caribbean island's pretty cool.
I think that's freaking awesome. I do look at you and say, oh my God, I wish I was over there. I love it.
Yeah. It's why we've talked about some of the challenges and stuff, and again, just putting scuba smiles on people's faces is just huge to me. It truly is. Being able to live here, being able to do that. I truly would like to. I keep telling myself I'm going to try to dive 1 to 2 times a week, and it doesn't always happen. But I keep trying for that. So I do wish I could dive a little bit more, but we're working on that.
It'll happen. It's a new business still. And so you're just kind of working out things, and things are always changing every single day.
You bet. You bet.
So, is there anything else that you would like to say?
Oh, it's interesting. People talk about the different places to dive, and a lot of people have dove a lot more places than I have. Um, I see forums and that type of thing, and I think anywhere you dive, there are amazing things to see. And I think people should just keep exploring because there are differences where you go. Um, but being able to come to a small little island like Isla is very unique because we're not commercialized. We don't have the McDonald's, we don't have the senior frogs, we don't have the rainforest cafes and stuff like a lot of the bigger cities have and that type of thing. We're still old Mexico, and we still have all the ma and pa shops and restaurants. So I think that people are missing out if they don't really look at coming to the small, quaint islands um, in Mexico or anywhere in the world. But we love our place, of course. We offer certifications, and we talked about Discover Scuba, and then we have over 20 different dive sites. So from 30-foot depth to well over 100.
Wow.
So yeah, we have everything from beginner to majorly advanced divers with strong currents and strong drifts, and then no drifts and no currents. So we have a little bit of everything for every level of diver.
So is the whale shark, is that diving or is that snorkeling as well?
Yeah, that is snorkeling. Mexican law actually is snorkel only. We usually see manta rays as well. The boat ride out there is usually 45 minutes. To last year, it was like an hour and a half because we had a storm come through and the whale sharks moved out further. So it can change every year how long the boat ride is. Sometimes they come in a little closer. So it just depends, but it's an amazing adventure. It's almost a whole day. It's like 8 to 2.
What's been your most incredible experience under the water?
Like I said, I have fun everywhere I go, no matter
Yeah.
what dive site. But we have a deep wreck um, where we spotted manta rays. And so one of our deep wrecks, I'm really, it's a newer place for us to go. So we're really playing with that one, but being able to see large pelagics is just also really amazing when you're diving. So, we never know. Since the mantas were in that area, we're kind of hopeful with the whale sharks season coming up. You never know. We might get to see a whale shark there too. So we might get to see them diving. We're not sure yet, but that's going to be an adventure for this summer.
So if people want to come dive with you, how do we find you?
So Google usually is pretty good at finding us, but our website is very easy. It's diveislamujeres.com. And our email is also very easy. You can use Sharon at diveislamujeres.com. And I have a US phone number, which we have learned that a lot of divers from the United States, they tell us a lot that they've appreciated us having a US number. So
Beautiful.
I think I'm always going to keep that. But you can also find us on Facebook under the Aqua Adventures Eco Divers Isla Mujeres and
Okay, and
follow
I'll
us on
also
there as well.
put all this in the show notes as well. So,
Wonderful.
yes, I see
Thank
a trip.
you.
I see a trip coming really soon.
I know, I'm so excited for you. And remember, I do dive eat stay packages, so I can help you with places to stay and your round trip airport ferry transfers and excursions and all that. So,
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here today and taking time
oh,
out of your very
thank
busy
you.
schedule.
Thank you, Bonnie. I know you have a very busy schedule too, and you're amazing. Love your music. Can't wait to see your movie.